So tell me, how does one sell a shitty product? How?
All right. How do I sell a city? You have to self-convince yourself that the product is good. Now, I'll give you my background. I have never used an alarm. I'm going to be honest. Like, I sold alarm systems for 7 years, and I was the number one sales guy. And there was a moment when I finished number one, I got a call from my father-in-law who I had sold. Despite his will, his wife gets it. So my mother-in-law felt bad for me for some reason. So she figured she'd buy, knowing that they would never use the alarm system. They live in a nice neighborhood. You know what I mean? And then he has a house fire. And the smoke alarm is supposed to call the fire department. Well, it didn't call the fire department. And so I'm sitting there. Half of his house burnt down. The only thing that this would ever come in handy for is the fact that it's monitored 24/7 for fire protection. So I get this phone call and he's like, dude, rip this thing out of my house. You almost killed my family. I just lost half my house. And I'm out there slinging this. I'm the number one rep. I'm the face, the poster child, right? And I'm not saying alarms are bad. It's for people. It's for some. It's not for some, whatever. But I had to. So to answer your question, imagine this. I'm going through this inner turmoil. I'm going up to homeowners and being like, dude, you have to get this. What if there was a fire? This would protect your home. When my own family, you know what I mean? And what I did, I still finished number one. I was still able to keep in positive. I was still able to sell it.
Knowing this, you kept doing it?
Yes, knowing this. So to answer the question, and I had to overcome a mental piece because there's, in my opinion, one, you just don't sell every product. But two, you also have to deal with the darts that get thrown around your product because you might have a good product for a lot of people, but not always the right fit, right? So you have to realize, okay, they're just not my customer, and I'm okay walking because I have an abundance mentality. But I had the belief system of, shoot, that happened to be one of a million. It didn't work. Two, it's not my place to say whether they're going to get broken into or not. Knock on wood, hopefully they never do. But I had to convince myself, okay, if it were the once in a million chance you actually had a home invasion and they did rape your 12-year-old and you didn't have my alarm, that's on me. That's on me.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean?
Way to spin it.
Like I had to spin it to be like, wait a minute. Let's talk about it. The 990,000 don't get broken into and never even use it. But if that one calls me and that one person said this saved my kid's life, okay, then all of the 900,000 we sold or whatever customer, then great, it was worth it. So you take that principle and you say, okay, how does that apply to my industry, my product, my whatever? And it's like, you kind of almost sometimes have to self-convince yourself or spin it a little bit so that you don't become your own worst nightmare in sales. Because that's what always happens. You have a customer calls in and complains, or you have a customer or a glitch. I have a software company and it's a texting platform called Vanilla. And we had a client call us the other day. They sent 4,000 of their customers. When they wanted to send 30 customers a text, had a glitch and it sent it to all of their customer database. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa. And I had to totally spin it and be like, dude, what a blessing. You would have never said that to the customers. Now you got to say it. And what if they text you back and say, yeah, you know what I mean? And I had to be oh, fetch. That's embarrassing. Anyway, but I can't give up and be like, this sucks. I just have to go freaking spin it,
So can you spin, say you're selling alcohol or e-cigs right now or whatever, those e-buns? Would you be able to convince yourself those are good for you?
Some people could, but some people you just have to switch industries. I mean, I got to a point where I didn't stay in alarms forever. I switched to solar. I got a little bit more passionate. But at the end of the day, I wasn't a guy that was like, ooh, I want to save the planet. I'm not a big tree hugger guy. I'm not global warming studying and stuff. Now I care about it more. Now I paid attention to it now. But when I got into it, I was like, oh, more money, cool. and it's a win financially for the customer, that's cool. You know, is a better smart decision than paying the electric bill. Everybody needs power. And so there were just, everything added up, right? But every solar product I sold wasn't the best scenario that I realized maybe 6 months later. They called me, they're like, hey, my bill isn't less or whatever. And it wasn't like, I'm like, at least you're helping the planet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so then I started to be a little bit more, you know, I had to start to just say, how do I spin it so that I don't like kill myself? But yeah, I got out of alarms. I found that there was a better product, a better opportunity, a better feeling that I felt when I walked away from a customer.
Easier to go to sleep at night, maybe?
Yeah,
too?
Easier to go sleep at night. Because at the end of the day, like, I have sold things where I'm like, like, I just did that because I knew I wanted to feel the rush of getting a sale, which now, like, in my more mature state of career, I look at it and I kind of am like, okay, stop being so money hungry and figure out how do you put customers first. And that's actually where I've grown as a business a lot more, is saying, okay, customers truly feel you care about them, not just trying to nickel and dime and you know, make a buck. And
at the end of the day, it's on you now. It's not just that like, oh, it's the company's product.
Exactly.
I'm just selling it.
I'm just hired to sell it. Yeah. And when you become the boss, that's when you realize, oh, this is a reputation I have to cater to. Like, this is you know what I mean? I look at like my father-in-law situation where I'm like, if that's my company, the worst part about that is 3 houses down, the CFO lived. Like, I'm talking
of the product you were selling?
Of the product. He knows it. He calls him, he goes, are you kidding me? Like, it wasn't just my reputation. It's now like one of the executives that and my father-in-law is like really well known. Like, he's a very prominent icon in that community. And so it's kind of like the CFO gets that call. It's like, now it's his reputation. Now that there's an awkward conversation that has to happen. Yeah. And so, you know, you look at it and you go, what's more important? My integrity, my reputation, my identity, or, you know, hitting some goal or some number? And that's where a lot of things have shifted since kind of running a few companies. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Everybody tuning in, it's Sam Taggart, by the way. Be sure to check him out if you want to put a face to the name. If you're listening to one of the podcast platforms, it's d2du.com or d2dcon.com to check out more info about his conference that's coming up in January. Number 3, is it?
Yeah, year 3. We have Ed Milet, Tim Grover, Coach Burt. Should have 3,000 to 5,000 people there this year. It's a party, man.
I remember when. So welcome back to being on the show. Also, it's been about 1.5 years since our first episode. You were actually guest number 2. How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
I feel honored. Part of me is kind of like, well, 1, the fact that I know a dude named Miro. 2, the fact that I got to be asked to be on a podcast when I was a nobody, probably when we were doing this podcast. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, hey, I see a potential in you kind of thing. And now it's like, oh, looking back, we've both had some really cool journey. You know, I run a podcast, and, you know, it was...
You were just starting out too, right?
Yeah. Same time? I mean, I probably had 30 episodes at that point, you know, now that there's...
You know what? You had like a bodyguard with you. I guess you know, Jonah, I think that was his name, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, anybody that's got like a bodyguard in front of him to talk to him, I'm like, he's got to be somebody. Got it. So, and he had a book, so I was like, damn, ABCs of Closing, right? That's the book. Yeah. I still have it actually.
Somewhere. Yeah, it's good if you're looking to try to sell and close more deals and whatever you're doing. It's just like a bunch of one-liners and techniques on different closes. It gives you kind of the practical, like, here's exactly what to say. But I think a lot of books out there are very like, now I have to fill in the blanks. You know what I mean? It's super vague in general. This one's like, just say this line and I promise you'll close more deals. So, and
I have the book, like,
it's somewhere. Anyway, it's
I keep looking at it all the time.
I just released the Audible version too, so you can go get it on Audible.
Awesome.
And I did a voice over whatever
you're doing
called. I did it.
You did it?
I don't want to hire some Jamaican cat to be like,
you know what? That's cool, because this way you could like add your feelings to it. Maybe like say a couple one-liners additionally.
Yeah. And tone is big in sales. Like, you know, reading the book, I can say the same close. I could say like, so if I can take care of this, and would there be any reason in the world you wouldn't do it today? Or I could say, so if I could take care of this, like, would there be any reason in the world you wouldn't do this today? Or today? Or today? Or, you know what I mean? Like, it just, like, you read that 20 different ways, you know what I mean? Like, so being able to hear the tonality and the emphases and, you know, like where to actually put the pressure, where to take it off. Like, you know, I tried to, granted, I'm not a great reader, so it was hard, but I tried to, like, add
it's good. I think it's a critical thing. A lot of people learn that way and connect with people, because then you like hear the person's voice. You're like, damn, I'm like sitting here listening to them.
Yeah.
It's, the conference has come a long way, right? That's year one. I remember you just had a few guests, right? And about 1,000 guests, but now I'm predicting how big's the number going to be this year?
Yeah, probably 3,000 to 5,000. So anybody in direct sales or in-home selling, it's probably one of the largest in the country now, as far as like very catered to, you know, selling, like just very recruitment, training, how to lead teams, how to build your kind of direct sales, outbound sales programs. Because, you know, there's so many like online marketing and digital this and make a magic funnel that teaches you this. I'm like, I had a call yesterday with a cat. He runs a marketing company. He's like, hey, let's partner up and you have a great network. You're going to be able to help me sell all these deals and I'll give you a ripper or whatever. And I was like, honestly, let's not even think about that. The question is, all the companies you're currently selling, if you get them leads, they probably don't know what to do with the damn leads because they suck at selling them. They don't know how to follow up. They don't know how to close. They don't, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's fantastic. But until you know how to close a deal down and sit belly to belly with a customer and like actually close, and then why go get leads? You know what I mean? I was like, that's just more expensive for your leads.
So did you turn it around on him? You're like, so maybe I should be selling you instead.
Yeah, it was great. I totally flipped it. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Like, it was awesome. Anyway.
Do you have like, what do you describe a perfect salesman? Since we're on the sales topic, like, is there a unicorn? Like,
yeah,
did you ever come across the perfect person?
193 pounds, 6'3". No, I'm just kidding. It's definitely no.
I'm not that tall, but I am 194.
Oh, nice. I almost nailed that. No, that's a great question. So, you know, obviously I've recruited thousands of sales reps over my career and
for sure
interviewed the top reps on my podcast and been a top rep. Like, and I've kind of pinpointed different qualities, right? And I'm writing actually book number 2 called The Achievement Formula. And it's all about kind of like, what are the common traits amongst these bad A's that they have? And a few of them, you know, there's a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth, and she has this kind of grit scale, right? And I feel like that factors a lot into sales because, dude, I've had some of the sharpest looking cats with such good backgrounds, good schooling, you know what I mean? Like great families suck. And it's simply because they're just on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to grittiness or grindmanship or whatever you want to call this. Like,
there's so many words now for everything.
Yeah, it's like they were a 4, you know, they just don't know how to pick up the phone and actually start dialing or start knocking or start whatever. And so I think the number one quality is if you can look for somebody that actually knows how to get kicked in the face and get back up, you're going to feel you can teach them the lines and the scripts and the tone and the questions. Like they can follow your system. So I just think, honestly, the number one quality is guys that are willing to get up and grind and know what they want and are competitive enough to go get it. So looks have nothing to do with it, really, except trim your nose hairs. That's, dude, good advice. Trim your nose hairs. Bradley's going to say, hey, brush your teeth. And anyway, kind of look the part, obviously. I think it's important, but I think people can grind their way through whatever, in my opinion.
Right. So at the end of the day, anybody could do it. That's the beauty of it, right? It's about kind of what's inside.
Yeah. It's the lubricant of society. If you think about it, sales is going to be what makes your business run. I mean, my biggest advice is every new entrepreneur, every guy that's trying to switch from employee to boss, I think that they negate or they forget they got to go sell. They still have to be the salesperson. You know,
yes, they do. day in, day out, everywhere they go, they're selling themselves, the company, you name it. But specifically door to door, do you think door to door is here to stay no matter what? Because some would say, door to door, like who even does that anymore? But here you are thriving on it.
It's interesting. So, I've chatted with Gary Vaynerchuk about it, right? Like, I'm like, Gary, what's your side of this? And he's like, oh, it's dead, and then
I told you that?
Yeah. And I look at him and it's interesting. I was like, that's one opinion. I interviewed Ed Milet yesterday and, I asked Ed Milet and he's like, literally, I need to introduce you to a lot more of my clients because I think that more people need to know that door to door is there's a very, very hard substitute. Like it's hard to substitute the quality of if I can get a team of ninjas to go hustle direct to consumer or direct to the business, you could go B2B, D2D, right? Like knocking right there belly to belly, it's irreplaceable in a lot of ways. So I always say it's the most inefficient way to do business. And a lot of people are like, that makes no sense. And it probably doesn't, but
what are you talking about right now, man? Like, what are you talking about?
It's if you gave me any product, I would beat you to market, beat you to revenue, and cost you $0 other than eat what I kill type of money than if you tried to go play me online right now, today. Let's race, whatever it is. Because you would have to spend potentially thousands of dollars putting together copy, ads, SEO, branding, this, that, follow up, slow drips, you know what I mean? And it's a marketing strategy, which is very important. But in my opinion, it might not even work. And you just are out 10 grand and you made $0. Where I'm out $0 other than a day of my face getting kicked in. But I'm out nothing other than my day of face getting kicked in, or I made 10 grand. Like, you know what I mean? I know guys that make millions of dollars knocking on doors, and they, they like Ed. He talked about a guy in his group. He's like, dude, I have a friend that's an arborist. He's take home pay. He's a one-man band in Idaho, and he makes $2 million a year by himself, knocking on doors, going out and selling tree cutting. You know what I mean? Like, or I could try to put an ad out on the newspaper or a digital marketing and be like, do you need your tree cut down? Or just like, I don't know if you necessarily make $2 million as a one-man band doing that.
Probably not. How do you find people like that? That's a struggle I come across, and I think a lot of people do. I don't know. I've always had a hard time finding people that strictly want to work door to door or get just straight commission.
Well, they're the one percenters, and that's what's so cool about our tribe. I take pride in this door to door tribe. I have a Facebook group of 8,500 people. I have this conference where thousands of people come together, and it's the one percenters. They're very unique people that are willing to do what 99% of society is not willing to do, which is grind, which is get out of bed, go get your face kicked in, but create value. Be willing to actually grind and create value. And that's the piece that me and Ed jammed on yesterday was like, unfortunately, and that's one of the reasons I created this movement, is it's a dying skill set. It's a dying art. Like the younger generation is getting quite soft. You tell them to go knock doors and they just get anxiety and they have a mental health issue when you talk about it. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, I don't even.
Better damn, you did not.
I just did. I hate to break it to you, but it's
dude, like I am so offended right now, man.
You should be. Take some more CBD right now, and you'll feel better. Like, let's be honest.
Where is it? I'm just kidding. Hey, man. Hey, I mean, that's a great plug to sell some CBD right there.
Yeah, but dude, I just hit a guy. Dude, literally, no joke. My last Facebook message, selling CBD DDD. He's like, I'm the first CBD sales guy to go knock, and he's like, I'm crushing it. I sold a freaking 100 bottles like last week, and I was like, DDD. Like, he's willing to.
No one even does it that much. Like where I'm at in Chicago, I mean, it's kind of looked down upon. Like as soon as you see someone doing it, but no one does it.
I've never tried it, but But anyway, I make the joke.
Oh, I just meant D2D in Chicago.
No, it's big, dude. It's the number one solar market right now, dude.
In Chicago?
Oh, dude, I probably got 50 friends that have probably made $1 million plus this last 12 months in Chicago selling solar right now.
I wonder if they focus strictly on like the upper end neighborhoods.
No, anyway, do you pay a power bill?
Yeah.
Dude, the government. So the utility company in Chicago pays you to go solar, plus the credits with this federal tax credit. Dude, it's like free there. It's like insane. Anyway, roofing company. I consulted a guy. I have a client out in Chicago that does roofs. He'll do 10 million in roofs this year in Chicago, storm restoration. Mm-hmm. He'll probably take home. He's like our age, and he'll probably take home $2 to $3 million this year.
Of that. Wow.
Oh, I mean, but he knocks doors. That's a terrible profession. Like, why would anybody do that? Like, you know what I mean? But like, that's the thing. Like, I've sold in like a lot of people. It's how do you find them? They exist, but it's a quality trait of changing a mindset to say, dude, if I told you that there was wads of cash hanging on a doorknob, all you needed to do is go knock it and say this, and you just get to take the wad of cash home, versus your other job. You have a $15 an hour they'll give you. Who's the boss now? You have to go knock the door and pick up the wad of cash, whatever the service product or whatever is. That's all you have to do. Would you go knock more doors? You know what I mean? Like, would you, I look at it and I say, I get paid for the no's. Every time I get a no, because I know my ratio, it's closer to a yes. So it's like, great, I just go pick up checks every freaking door. I don't care what you tell me, because I know I'll get deals. And I know that it'll pay off way better than if I was sitting at a desk job.
Why do you think it is, though? Why is everyone getting more sensitive? Like, are you having a harder time finding the right people too? There's just a lot more.
The industry in general. I mean, and we say that, but I also look at it like I gave a speech at DoorCon, and it was all about we're misinterpreting the millennial mind in the sense of what do all millennials and Gen Zs or whatever they're called want? If you had to really dive into the root, what do they want?
Happiness.
And
green shakes and man buns.
Green shakes and man buns and impact and service and
dogs.
Live in Bali, no kids, dog, freedom, right? That's kind of like think about it. Like, I want to travel the world. I want to make $1 million by posting on Instagram and do cool stuff and drive a nice car, right?
That's the life right now. It is.
That's the life right now.
It is.
So let me ask you this. If you knew, so think about it. Uber. Why is Uber successful? Because I can be my own boss, work when I want. It's freedom. It's this. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, that is the wave. So if you knew door-to-door sales was literally exactly that. I went to Bali for a month last year. I drive the cars of my choice. I live in $1 million home. And I do what I want because I make my own schedule. I'm my own boss. I eat what I kill. I have unlimited potential to make income. I can travel for 8 months of the year if I truly wanted to and make as much money in 4 months as most people make in 12. Mm-hmm. I don't really report. I have my own opportunity. Wouldn't you think that the Gen Z, Gen X, like all those mindsets would not want that? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like this. This is probably one of the only vehicles that get you to go create that.
But it took you a while to do it. It didn't happen overnight. I couldn't post a few things on Facebook or Instagram, right, to make this happen.
No, it's the part that's the conundrum is they are used to result. What?
Hello?
Cool about to close it, man. Did I lose you? You there?
Yeah. Okay. Can you repeat that last part? The cool thing about that.
The cool thing about that is it fulfills the need of the instant dopamine hit that the millennial minds are getting because they have everything at their fingertips on their cell phone. Because I can instantly create a check. I can instantly create a result. But the problem is it takes a skill set that a lot of people aren't willing to actually develop. Does that make sense? So a lot of people struggle at saying, oh, communication, sales, the art of that is an art. You don't wake up and you're not necessarily just automatically good. Some are better than others automatically, but at the end of the day, it can be learned. And I think a lot of people struggle at the grind it takes to actually develop any skill set or a skill set. You know what I mean? Like, so as long as they're willing to be focused and actually commit to the cause and commit to actually making that a profession, like I see it as I'm a professional solicitor, you know what I mean? Or a knocker or whatever it is, then I can make professional money. At the age of 23, I was a millionaire, you know what I mean? Because I saw this as like, okay, instead of going to the MBA, or instead of getting like, I'm going to play in the MBA of sales, and door to door is one of the most highest paying, in my opinion, and I'm just going to play with the big leagues, you know what I mean? And compete against the best of the best. And if I looked at it that way, it's a sport, it's a game, it's a competition. I can play in the minors or the major leagues. It's up to me. But I think people like the game. They like the idea of freedom. They like the idea of earning potential, and they get to be their own boss. They like the idea of kind of this liberty to work when I need and when I want. Like, more people should just wake up and get over the freaking stigmatism, or what is it called? It's the stereotype, or the ego, I guess you could call it, and just go do it. And I think that was interesting. Ed said, he's like, dude, the people that are actually at the top, not the fake influencers, not the like, he's like, it's the people that are actually at the top are the ones that were willing to actually go knock. It wasn't beneath them to be like, you won't see me caught dead knocking on doors. That's like beneath me. He's like, the guys at the top, he's like, I knocked for freaking 20 years. He's like,
that's how he started, right?
Yeah, he knocked doors. Like, he's straight up door to door. And now he's, one of the richest under 50 in America. He's a half a billionaire. But he was willing to knock for 20 years. He's like, the dudes at the effing top aren't too good for the knocking.
Exactly. Go back to your roots and retrain that part, which we could be trained, right, at d2du.com, which stands for university, right?
Yeah. That's what we do, is we help sales guys, and we have an industry specific content. We consult companies. We help them kind of with 3 pillars, recruiting, like you said, like, how do you find them? There's an art to finding them. There's also an art to creating them, which is the second piece, which is leadership. And the last one is sales. Like, are you totally, like, when I went out to Chicago, and I went out with this girl that she was like one of the top reps in the industry, and I was excited to learn from her. I was like, hey, let me shadow you.
Yeah, right.
And she's like, okay. And I watched her and I was like, really? Like, that sucked. Like, I was like, what? And I gave her some good solid tips. I think she's just a grinder. And I gave her some good tips, and she went from a 30% closing ratio to over the next 3 weeks, she was closing at 70%.
Wow.
And just from like the simple me just giving her feedback, and she was already good. You know what I mean? And I think that just like even stuff like that, a lot of people, one of Ed's advices, and it's fresh in my mind, so I'm bringing up Ed Milet, but like, he's like, everybody should have a coach. Everybody should have a mentor. He's like, who's supporting you? What are you being mentored by? What are you being coached by? What education are you actually getting? And there's very few people that actually have a very direct, like, education towards like in-home selling or direct to consumer. There's not many people out there that are like, there's an art to it. Let me teach you the formula.
You don't think there's too many coaches out there though? Like, everybody is claiming to be a coach of everything.
I think it's that, and that's why I said the real people. It's funny. Like, I was talking to a cat, and he's like, if you can't teach, and if you can't teach PE. No, but he's like, but
for all the PE teachers out there, you're the real winners. We love you and support you.
There was definitely a phase in high school where I wanted to be a PE teacher.
I thought that was the greatest job ever.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, PE teachers, that's the best. Anyway, so but it's a good thing, because that's the thing. I think that there's 80%, 90% of the coaches, the mentors, they're the guys that can't do or aren't willing to knock, so they figure they'll just go to teach it. One of our core values is we walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Yeah, so like, I go to a company, and I'm like, dude, I have CEOs and managers that when I go out to there, I make them extremely uncomfortable, because I'm like, all right, why are you wearing dress shoes? Like, why aren't you wearing your tennis shoes? We're going to go knock. And they're like, what? like, no, we're going out in the street. Like, we're going to go do this. And they're like, oh man, it's been years. Or it's like, I don't know if I'm ready. And I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Like, you're leading this company and you just said, I don't know if I'm ready to go show my guys how to sell with you. Like that's embarrassing in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, I'm the effing consultant where technically I'm not getting paid to get sales in your name. I'll pay for my own damn fee because I throw in deals and I'll say, like, watch me do it. Because I want to stay fresh. I want to prove that, like, I'm not afraid to go get my face kicked in. There's been times where I've closed every single door that I went to. And then there's been times where I blanked in front of them. And it's like, well, that was interesting. Like,
on to the next one, right?
Like, that happens to me too. I'm not a freaking like invincible, but I'm willing to say thick or thin, good or bad. I don't care. I'm going to go show you and be willing to get in the trenches, just like you should be doing with your people. And anyway, I think even in leadership, a lot of bosses, they fail to, I call it the William Wallace effect. They fail to play William Wallace, leading from the front, getting in the trenches, showing their people how to throw down. And they feel like, I'm now the boss. I get to sit in the throne. You minions, go make money for me. And it's like, no. The people at the top, not the fake guys. Like you said, there's so many self-proclaimed coaches, self-proclaimed mentors, all these cats. It's probably because they're not willing to actually go grind.
Damn, that's deep. That's deep. You should release something like a statement about that. That could be very, very controversial. I could see. But I fully agree. Like, I think there's someone that will teach me to do anything right now. And then you look them up who they are and it's just blanks. It's like, come on, are you kidding me? But kind of full circle, interesting thing is, why do salesmen, and I'm sure you relate to this, why do they like being sold? Like, have you ever just listened to others' pitches just to listen, just for fun?
I was in a phase. I knew I was trying to buy a car, and I was in this phase of like delaying buying the car just because I entertained. I was so entertained going to the lots.
I love getting phone calls. Like, I used to be in telemarketing. So,
I went to Walmart the other day, and the DirecTV cats are there in the Walmart trying to sell DirecTV. Granted, I have satellite university. Like, I train and knock and have interviewed the best DirecTV guys you know what I mean? That would make these guys times 50, right? And I just let them kind of pitch me for a while. And I was like, how about this? Just go check out my podcast. It'll help you. Like, I just left it. Like, I'm like, you just need some love. And I gave him the episode, and I did it out of love. I was like, dude,
that's funny.
I'm like, how long you been doing it? You did a pretty good job, man. And here's some tips. Listen to this one. Fix this. I'm telling you, your stance was way off. And he was just like, who are you? I was like, just go check this one out. And it was just funny. Like, I love it. And I'll tell you what, I don't buy if you suck. So there was the car that I wanted in the lot. And the guy hands me the keys. He's like, all right, go drive it. And I was like, no. This isn't how it works. I know I want the car, but out of principle, I'm not buying from you. I will go to a different lot to buy this car because you absolutely suck. I was willing to tell him that. And I said, don't take this as like me hating you. It's me saying, if somebody doesn't tell you this now, you're going to be a broke ass salesman for a long time. The second principle, though, is if anyone knocks my door, I will buy from them. So if they're good, though. So I was going to say,
you should not be announcing that to the world.
No. So I have announced it. So check this out. I'm on Instagram and I'm like, dude, I got ants. Like, literally, like this morning, I was like, dude, I have ants. Like, I was like, what the heck? And I posted on Instagram. The same day, I had probably 10 pest control owners text me, hey, I'll give you pest control for free if you post about us. Like, free service, no strings attached, right? The same day my door gets knocked by a pest control dude. I'm like, I never get knocked. What are the chances? He comes up and he's good. And I was like, hey, like, do you know who I am? He's like, no. Like, had no idea who I was. And I was like,
maybe it was part of his pitch.
No. So then I was like, Yeah. So then I was like, you're playing me. So I was like, show me your tracking. Show me your area, like that you're truly knocking this area. And he had dropped pins and had known the neighbors, and he had deals in my neighborhood and stuff. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm like having hidden camera film. You can go check it out on my YouTube, DDD Experts, because we had like, I was like, hey, Lindsay, my assistant, I was like, hurry, I got a solicitor coming. We film this. Like, just because I was like, what are the chances?
Yeah, you never know what's.
Yeah, you never know. It's like, just pull out the camera. Yeah. Anyway, so knowing I could have got it for free, I paid $500 for effing pest control, and I had to buy from him because of my damn principal. I was like, you're good. And had this been tomorrow, I would have been serviced already, and it would have been free, but damn it, you're good. Like,
and you got
good job. I said, good job. I had to pay it. You know what I mean? So anyway, I appreciate, I love getting sold. I love it.
So. It's so interesting. Yeah. Anything you do, it's something about that, especially sales. And I guess lastly, kind of something that also kind of is a taboo thing. And a lot of people talk about it, is sales gets a bad rep. It definitely does, especially with abuse, addiction, that it's like you get that high. Why is that? Do you know why there's so much addiction going on and abuse?
Well, so when I interview, so you asked the question, what makes a good sales rep? Here's a great interview question when you're trying to find good salespeople. And if you do it the right way, it's actually really funny. Hey, so this is a weird question. It's going to catch you off guard, but it's really important to me. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been diagnosed or felt that you have ADD? And obviously the reaction is like, do I answer this honestly, or do I like, you know what I mean? They don't know where to play with this. So then they're like, if they say yes, I go, you're hired. They're like, what? Like, weren't expecting it to be like a positive, right? I found a common trait amongst sales reps tends to be ADD. A common trait amongst ADD people tends to be addiction, meaning they like to, they have a tendency or a more sensitivity to a dopamine hit, like pornography, cocaine, whatever, cigarette. Like they tend to be more addictive personalities. It's a good thing because if you're a good sales leader, you know how to leverage the addiction of the sales hit or the competition winners or certification winners or awards. You know how to play addiction to that to leverage good salespeople. And I think that it commonly, guys that succeeded in this are ones that are being able to be uber focused and play to that strength of saying ADD can be a gift. You look at some of the biggest CEOs in the world and they actually have ADD. It's just being able to channel it in the right direction, where unfortunately lots of sales cultures have channeled it in the wrong direction, giving it that bad rap.
You could only control it though to so much, right? Because at the end of the day, this person working for you crushes it and then goes off the grid.
Well, it's teaching them how to have a good, it's you controlling the environment you can control, meaning what are you tolerating? What are you not tolerating? What's your, are you like turning a blind eye and being like, yeah, it's totally okay to have cocaine. But because he's my top rep, I can't fire him. Or is it, hey, we have a strict policy and a core value. We live by that. We appreciate those that do. I don't care if you're selling the most in our company or the least. And I think that being able to determine, and it's not negotiable, is what you're willing to tolerate prior, instead of going case by case, you then diminish your leadership influence there. But it's also saying, okay, what are my standards? What's my core values? What am I tolerating? What's the environment I create? Because I do believe you have control over that as an owner and a leader.
So is that something you had to deal with? Did you have to fire someone over a situation?
100%. And there's been times where I was super stupid and didn't fire him, or I was scared, or
it bit you an ass later on?
It does. It's playing the short game versus the long game. You know what I mean? I put up with stuff that I probably shouldn't have, or I've seen reps, like do some stupid stuff. And it's like, knowing what I know now, and it's not easy. It's not always a comfortable feeling going to guys, especially producers. If they suck, it's like, yes, you give me a good excuse to cut the fat is what we call it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if they're good, that's hard. I mean, it is very hard to let talented guys go, because you're like, man, they're diamond, like they're a diamond in the rough. They're hard to find. You know what I mean? Like, so, but it's saying, what are you willing to tolerate, and just make the decision now versus in the moment, because in the moment it gets hard. And if you set the expectation when you hire people, and then you hold to that, not so always kind of waver your boundaries, then you'll have a good sales environment.
Awesome. Well, now we are on to our listeners' favorite segment of the show.
Welcome to the round with no name.
I don't know if you remember last time, but we did this a little bit. We run into a couple questions, so we're not going to ask you the same thing that we asked you last year and a half ago, but we got a couple new things. The rules did not change. You still get 5 seconds to initiate an answer. Otherwise, my producer, Steve Wiley, he only got worse now. Back then, he would just give me a hard time. Now he comes out and he's threatening to break legs, man. So 5 seconds to initiate an answer. That's all we get.
Okay.
So without further ado, no pressure at all. No pressure at all.
Yeah, I feel like stressed now. Okay, go. At least I'm witty. At least I'm quick. I'm a sales guy. Another good quality.
Yeah, that's what we're testing here.
Why is the police outside? Hold on. All right. We got cops across the street. Something interesting is going on. Okay, keep going.
It's got to be a salesman.
Love it. Yeah. Solicitors in the neighborhood.
Damn solicitor getting beat again.
For
sure.
Okay, go. Sorry.
What is your favorite movie?
Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, it's a classic.
Oh, yeah,
How do you drink your coffee?
Don't drink coffee.
Ooh, why is that?
It's against my religion. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Got it. What do you? If you had an unlimited amount of money right now, what would you do with it? What kind of business would you start, and not your own?
Non-charitable or charitable?
I guess let's do non-charitable because a lot of people say charitable stuff.
Yeah. Let's go non-charitable. I would definitely do a bad A tech company. I'd go blow this texting company up. And I'll tell you what. I have an app called Home Ready. And
Home Ready.
REDE. So it's a home service lead share app, and I would blow the shiz out of that. It's basically like Uberitizing home service sales. It's pretty dope. Anyway, that's what I would do.
We gotta talk about that. What is your? I know you're really into sports. What is your favorite sport?
Basketball in the mornings, golf in the afternoons.
Do you get a lot of that in right now, or?
I just sprained my ankle last week, so not as of the last 3 days.
So just golf.
Golf right now, yes.
So what is the one item, since it's not coffee, what is the one item that you consume every day, or something maybe you wear on you, but it's the one thing that makes you? You can't go a day without it.
I like my White Monster.
Your White Monster. Wow. So no coffee.
But I can drink the White Monster. I know. It's weird. Trust me.
What? What is going on here?
I have a tail, horns, and 5 wives. It's okay.
But you do?
No.
Damn, dude. I mean, we're doing part 3 of this tomorrow. We're doing part 3. We are breaking this down. I want to know what other careers you have, what they do, how many kids you have.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going. I love it.
If we are about to have a serious business meeting, I flew in and I'm like, Sam, we're going to make millions together. And I walked out with socks and sandals. What would you say?
You walked out with socks and sandals? Meaning like naked?
I was wearing socks and sandals in my regular attire. Like I just didn't dress up for it. Nothing. I was just like, whatever.
That's normal, dude. I mean, I would be uncomfortable if you were wearing a suit in my world. Like for my space, it's like Nike sponsors my industry basically. So anything, for us, it's flat brim hats and Nike is kind of our MO, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like flat brims, but
you never sold in socks and sandals?
I actually have.
So look at that.
I am a socks and sandals guy. That is actually really weird.
It's pretty comfy, man. I wear them during all my interviews.
Dude, those Jesus sandals, dude. We call them jandals, dude. The jandals, dude.
Jandals. Oh yeah. So last time we talked about nichified. Today we got jandals. I mean, you're just full of new words. You got to come up with your own. Do you ever think about that? The D to D dictionary?
Oh, I had a Sam Taggart dictionary. My sales team had on the whiteboard a running tally of words that I've made up. So I've definitely.
So this is nothing new.
Kind of new to the whole. Yeah, it's not new to me to just be like, that's a word. Count it. Like grindmanship. I was speaking in front of 500 people out in freaking Dallas. And I'm like, all right, everybody raise your hand if you grade yourself 1 to 10. Where's your grindmanship? I was like, yep, that just came out like that. We're going on that. Running with this, guys. Grindmanship, raise your hand. It was awesome. Anyway.
Which interview for your podcast have you been the most nervous about?
Honestly, this Ed Milet one was scary. So we start the podcast. It was so funny. Like I was nervous, dude, crushed it. I'm excited to launch this. So D2D-podcast, if you're interested, I'm sure by the time this goes out, it'll be out. But so we start the podcast and he looks at me, kind of one of those like looks like kind of like
he's serious.
It's on, right? It's like I am intimidating muscle mass, you know. And he turns and I just bust out laughing. Like I just couldn't hold it in. So now I get into this laughing mode and I'm like, all right, take two. But I'm like, you know, when it's like when you're ticklish and tickling becomes more sensitive, laughing becomes more like, anyway, I was like, anything you would say probably would have just sent me off into a laugh mode. And I was like, oh shiz, I got take two. And it was so hard because I'm like, this is embarrassing, but I'm in my laugh mode. Let me calm down. Let's do this. And it was probably the first time I've been like thrown off. Anyway, so
I'm sure it felt good afterwards, right?
When dude, we crushed. Damn. It was like boom, dude. And he looks at me and he's like, "You're really good at this." And to come from like an Ed Milet who's probably been on a bunch of shows, and Netflix is about to buy his effing show, and you know what I mean? You're just like, you meant that, didn't you? He's like, yeah, I want you on my show. I'm like, cool. Like that was cool. You know what I mean? So that was scary. You know, you're walking into a $20 million house and you're like, okay, this is intimidating.
Awesome. So. Well, you survived. I survived. I didn't have to deal with my producer at all again today. So I'm very happy. I'm going to be a happy man today. Hopefully I got your blood flowing. I got you thinking and, yes. And you're ready for the next step. I wanted to thank you. Thank you again for taking the time out, you know, doing this. It's been fun. Can't wait to catch up again. You know, hopefully not as long, but definitely looking forward to seeing how things go. Mike is yours. Mike is yours. If you want to have any final closing thoughts.
Anybody listening, if you come out to Utah in January, d2dcon.com, check it out. It's if you're doing anything in sales or building a business in sales, it's the place to be. You know what I mean? All the top dogs come.
Yep.
We have awards and speakers and 40 plus speakers and vendors. We have 70 plus vendors. You know what I mean? It's a cool conference. So, and then, you know, YouTube, Instagram at the Sam Taggart. You know, I've got a podcast, like just go look up Sam Taggart and I'm sure I'll show up. There's a girl that was on like some TV show that shows up a lot. And then there's me, you know, it's kind of me and her, this TV Ask All-Star, and we compete for that Sam Taggart spot. So I'm like, dang it, why does that have to be a chick?
Wait, really?
So, yeah, it really does. Man. And I'm just
wait, really?
Go look it up. Go Google it, dude. You're like, that's her alias too. It's not even like her actress name. See what I mean? You're like, really? Like, you own that? Like that? Like what?
Samantha Taggart? What?
Yeah, screw you. So at the Sam Taggart. .com or it is my Instagram and you can find me on YouTube, D2D Experts. But the other piece of advice I'd say is be proud to say I knock doors. You know what I mean? Like whatever you're doing, you're knocking doors to win. Like maybe not physically going to somebody's home at 6:00 while they're eating dinner, but it might be that you have to go out and knock doors to get whatever's behind the door. And that's the opportunity. That's what the success lies behind the door. You got to go knock it. So I speak a lot on this book I'm writing, which comes from the scripture, Matthew 7:7, which is ask and you shall find, or ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be open to you. And I believe in that principle of just saying, in order to achieve in life, you follow that formula.
That's deep. That's deep. And the new book is going to be called, one more time?
Achievement Formula. But give it some time, people. It's going to be like a good one. You know what I mean?
Okay. So we're not going to put you on the spot that it's going to be out like next spring.
No, it's in the research. I've developed all the concepts, started on a couple chapters, but I'm filming a documentary next summer. So I bought a bus and I'm traveling around the country for 10 weeks. Filming a documentary about door-to-door. And actually today I finalized the nonprofit, the Door-to-Door Association. And anyway, a lot of the research will be done traveling around the country and through these podcasts. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to pull it kind of like Tim Ferriss tool Titan / just this cool book. Anyway, it'll be, I want it to be very deep. That. So anyway, I don't want to just rush through it. So
hopefully you stop in Chicago.
It is. So Chicago is freaking in July. It's one of the later. It's stop number 8, dude. So
hey man,
you better be there. I'm localized events, man.
July. I'm getting married July 4th. So I don't know what you're.
That's a terrible thing. Not that you're getting married. That you're just that you're borrowing the 4th of July. That's a disgrace. So don't steal America's day.
It's gonna be fun, man.
America's
We're
day.
Celebrating both. We're celebrating both. It's
Your
always gonna be a celebration.
Always cheaper. Yeah, you're like, we have fireworks every effing anniversary. That's
man.
Dope.
And I mean, I'm telling everybody way in advance. And
don't worry. I don't drink coffee. I'm your cheapest attendee, so I will be there. Sweet. All right.
But yeah, no, I mean, and just the conference alone, you mentioned it is January 16th through 18th.
Yes.
In Salt Lake City. You can check it out on D2D, the number 2, con.com. And previous guests have been Jordan Belfort, right? This year got Tim Grover, Ed Milet. I mean, the speakers are just phenomenal. So definitely something to check out. Something to be excited about. It's not your typical average.
It's not your typical conference. It definitely is it's an experience would be the better way to put it. Like a sales experience. We have sales games going on. We have different, it's workshops that are very interactive. It's very everybody get up and get certified in sales. There's a sales certification process that we do. It's pretty dope. Anyway, go check it out. I know a lot of people are always trying to say there's the typical events that you see online or whatever, but this one has been deemed by, I can't tell you how many people, by far the best conference that they've, and I'm not trying to say that to toot my horn. So I say this humbly because I don't do it all. It's a team effort. I have a lot of support behind me, but it's definitely been deemed a very powerful and impactful conference. So
awesome. Well, Sam Taggart, everybody, looking forward to seeing what's next. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
That is all for this episode of Boss to Boss. Your next step is to visit bosstoboss.com, where you will find proven techniques followed by professionals to help you make that next step. Again, that is boss2boss.com. And remember, the time is now.